buwan, mapayapang isipan. Go palakas, malinis na paligid, mabuting kalooban. Go palakas, hangad na maglingkod sa kapwa't kaibigan. Go palakas, alagaan natin si inang kalikasan. Halika na totoo sa kalikasan at kapwa-tao. Isa buhay natin ito. Go palakas, go palakas. Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan. Go palakas.
Ma'am, ano pangalan?
Ako yung unang weathering astronomer.
Yes, good morning everybody. Welcome to Go Palakas Radio Show.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat at sa ating mga tagapakinig. At meron tayong bisita ngayong umaga. Siyempre, introducing ko na siya. At si
Of
Tita Mila.
course,
Di ba?
Okay,
yes.
maraming salamat sa pag-imbita sa akin at magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Okay, batiin nga natin si Clifford. Ay, maaga pa lang, Clifford. Good morning.
Uy.
Mabuhay sa'yo.
Oo.
Okay, kay Gemini, again, nice to see your name listed and you're always present. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Kay Francis Mina, Thomas Moore. Kay Thomas, from
And
Angeles.
Cesar from America.
Salud from
Yes.
America.
And Kalinji
Okay,
Renova
good morning,
also.
good morning sa inyong lahat. Ano? So, siyempre, mainit yung panahon sa labas eh. Mainit, may araw eh. Pero pag-usapan yata natin, medyo bumabagyo eh.
Kasi kadadaan lang ng bagyo.
Ay, kawawa. Sa atin, siyempre, our sympathies is for everybody. Alam nyo, it's just the beginning of, or the end of summer for us. And yet we find that the typhoons that come our way is dictated by the climate change.
Parang strange na yung pattern ng mga bagyo,
Exactly.
hindi ba? That was a strange typhoon. Sa gitna siya dumaan ng Pilipinas, yung huli, si Dante.
And this early too.
Oo.
When hindi ba typhoons by nature are very unpredictable, hindi ba?
Oh, yes.
Diba? Ganun yan. You don't know where it's going to hit you.
Mm-mm.
Where you don't know where saan siya dadaan. So at least with more satellites today, we're able to see different versions of it.
Oo.
You know?
Yes.
And it is to inform everybody that we should prepare
Oh,
way
yeah.
ahead. Diba?
Mas extreme na raw dahil yung weather, pati ang typhoons, medyo mas higher ang categories na naaabot ngayon.
Plus, there's another thing that is so apparent is it stays longer and it has more water.
Ah, really?
It's more strength
Oo.
and kumbaga its intensity is enhanced. This is taking place all over the world. Right now, but you can see all the extremes. When we talk about extremities in life or in the world or in nature, you will find, makikita nyo naman, hindi naman sa extremes but you see different patterns based on location in the globe.
Oo, yes.
Hindi ganun yan. May malamig na lugar, may dry, may humid, tropical, di ba?
Mm-mm.
But with climate change, para na halo-halo.
Ang gulo na.
Ang gulo.
Yeah. That's why the ice is melting, the warm water is going up, the atmosphere is very warm. Ang
Kaya nga
daming ganun na
extreme
nangyayari.
heat, nagkakaroon ng drought and forest fires, hindi
Yeah,
ba?
like say in the west coast of the US,
Yeah.
di ba? Right now, they had the worst droughts in California, so they're faced with the worst forest fires. But, one thing that we have to try to understand that why of all places yung lugar na yun? Everybody should understand that there is a reason for it. Just as when we are faced with different struggles in life, we have to learn to face it with reasoning and analysis and
Oo
why
nga.
it is taking
With
place.
wisdom.
May wisdom dapat. Kasi for example, countries like the US, which is so wealthy, but yet you will find California is one of their main food baskets. Do you guys know that?
Yes. Oo. Mga vineyards, mga orange
It feeds
orchards.
40% of the country.
Wow. Dami.
That's how intensive their agriculture is. But yet, many years ago, they saw it shaping up that they were over harvesting their water to the point that they were digging wells, huge wells in particular, for use of agriculture. And that is, kumbaga, sa ruling ng nature or in the natural system. Because aquifers takes a decade for it to recharge.
Oh.
And if you're going to use it for agriculture,
Oh.
then it's not the way to go. It's not sustainable.
Madaling mauubos
Yeah.
yung
Yeah.
sa
For
mga-
short, it was just like abused.
Yes, it was totally abused. They
Totally
did not
abused.
see. Wait, the sound is not so good. Can you check? Please?
So, ano rin natin, batiin din natin si Rosalinda from Okinawa and the Mainigo tribe and also Thomas. Okay. Good morning sa inyong lahat.
Thomas, how's our sound now? Is it much better?
Okay, maybe ano natin sa ating internet? Okay na
Is
raw.
it good now?
Okay, good.
Is it
We're
good? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Going back, just so that we set examples in relation to the environment, So when you find that certain things are being done and it's not right, you should look into kumbaga what's going on today is that because of our attempt to enrich ourselves actually,
Yes. Overconsume.
overconsumption and
Oo.
everything that's been done, we are already now using the resources that is meant for the future.
Yes.
So these are borrowed resources.
Mm-mm.
So when you are to see the different storms we are faced with in the world, you will find as a country, as a world, and as individual, as community, we are all basically living on the resources that is not ours.
Oo nga. Yes.
So
We have gone beyond our quota.
yes,
We are using up the future's quota.
yes.
No?
So it only means more. Kumbaga, we are faced with something that is entering the unknown.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Look at the pandemic. Everything was an unknown.
Yes.
No matter how experienced we have been, there's data in the past. But yet, there was a lot of unknowns that all the different health scientists and experts are just learning from it,
Mm-mm. Yeah.
just so that it can help us weather the storm. So information, education is always important. But forward looking, we as individuals have the ability to be able to capacitate ourselves to play a role in such a way that how can we weather issues like this individually and not just rely on, education is very important. Kailangan alamin natin yung datos just so that we can react and respond and contribute.
Mm-mm.
Diba? Right now, last year we were saying, okay, by this year, siguro okay na tayo.
Then,
Ilang buwan lang nga, di ba, ang sabi?
Ganun na yung sinasabi nila. So ngayon we're going, oops, it's worse this year pala. So you're faced with, so you have to go back. You have to analyze. Right?
oo.
You have to analyze it. You have to be like that. Then, again, at the end of the day, what do? What will guide you further? Now there's different schools on vaccination. In the US, they're saying, yeah, the vaccines are working. Diba? But there are other schools naman, they're going, teka, we're not so sure
No.
because this is a variant that's unpredictable.
Oo.
And there are 6 variants right now worldwide.
Mm-mm. Yes. And more developing
More
kasi
developing.
evolving there.
Kasi,
Yeah.
you have to understand, alalahanin ho natin, lahat na nakikinig, alam nyo, yung variant na yan, yung virus na yan, kung as long as there's a host,
Yes.
magpapalakas yan. Tsaka mag-a-adapt at mag-a-adapt yan.
Yes.
Kaya wag natin sabihin na, oy, mukhang mayroon na tayong bakuna, we should be
Oo.
okay.
Let's
You
all
know?
go out. Hindi
Right.
pwede pa rin.
So anyway, in life, we have to understand that there are many things that governs us. But one thing that you should understand in the world we live in, anything that we do here has no permanency.
Aha. Yes. Lagi nag-iiba, hindi
Yeah,
ba, ang
everything is
situation?
passing eh.
Yes.
Lahat ng actions na pinaperform natin only is good for a time being. It's temporary.
Yeah.
So when you connect to that as a person, to the temporariness of your existence, you will be struggling with the changes that will come your way.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oo. Laging meron tayong, we need to cope and live according to the situation that we face.
Plus, we have to go deeper and see. You know, when you have pandemics like this, what factors caused it?
Hindi pala bats. Hindi daw bats ang nag-cause ng pandemic.
Whatever they say, bats or whatever it is. Pero it is analyzing the decisions we made, the kind of life we have embraced. So we put ourselves in a setting we never foresaw it during those days.
Yeah.
We think modern medicine will take care of the pandemic. Sir.
Mm-mm.
Is that right? Ano ma'am? Kayo scientist kayo, di ba?
Pero kung noon nangyari to last year, the scientists were trying to figure out saan nagsimula. And it's already with us. Kaya lang,
Alam niyo
hindi
yun.
naman natin tinitingnan, paano naman natin din mapiprevent yung pag-spread nun. Ay, yung iba sabi nila, ilang buwan lang mawawala na yan. O gawa tayo ng vaccine, ngayon may vaccine na. Hindi pa rin natin, I could say, hindi talaga rin natin ginawa yung role natin para matigil yun.
Mm-mm.
Parang, o sige, may vaccine, o maglalax na tayo, bawasan itong control na to, itong discipline na to, tataas na naman, tapos meron na naman tayong external control. It's like, tuloy lang ng tuloy, mag-slow down sandali, tapos mag-rise up.
It also has something to do with us learning our lesson.
Yeah. Yes.
And
As a
learn it
nation, as a
early.
person, as
Yes,
a community.
oo. Yeah.
Because we find ourselves dito, this is where, alam niyo yung salitang malasakit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
di ba?
Yes.
Ang isang tao na may malasakit ang tao. Yung hangganan niya, malawak,
Mm-mm.
very broad.
Mm-mm.
And because a person who's malasakit, no matter what conditions one is faced with, it is a value, it is a quality, a character that makes it so that weathering storms or faced with different storms, because I have this type of malasakit with me, magtsatsaga ako, haharapin ko man kung ano yan, matututo ako sa aking hinaharap. I make use of the brain, the intelligence I've been supplied with. And not just see my own and understand my own limitations, but also come up with reasonable approaches to what I need to get done.
Yes.
And it's not just weathering it right now, because you don't know, it's 5 years or 10 years down the road, because such a pandemic in such a scale has a world, like
No.
a world order of it is mahabang panahon ang tatahakin natin
No.
para natin maibalik yung gusto natin na normal.
Yes.
Pero this whole thing that we're faced with, we should have an open mind. And even our leadership, we can find that they themselves are trying to put an order to the situation. But yet, because of their own limitations, inability to foresee what is taking place, even if you're supported by science, how far does the science take you?
May limits din siya. Mga
Right.
ganyan. Hindi ba?
So,
At saka as a world community, sinasabi nga that even if, let's say, US, magpa-vaccinate silang lahat, but the other countries are not up to par and they're not also solving their problem, one way or the other, affected pa rin yung mga countries na merong resources. So it's like you can't leave behind the rest of humanity just trying to save yourself because eventually babalik rin sa iyo yung problema one way or the other. So, yung pandemic po ay isang bagyo na pinapag-usapan natin ngayon. And our title is Weathering a Storm. And one of the biggest storms that we've had since last year na hindi pa umaalis yung bagyong ito ay yung itong COVID. Okay? Bagyong COVID. Okay? And so, ang pinag-uusapan po nga natin are the real solutions or perspective na pananaw para natin maharap yung bagyo na dumadating sa buhay natin, no? So before we proceed, we'd like to greet Marilu Galang, Adilila Satore, and Thomas Vina Pascua, and also from si Ver Enriquez from Zambales. Okay.
Lizelle.
And from Karkar. Yung mga kaibigan natin galing
Cebu.
Karkar. From
Okay.
Cebu. Okay, may share lang ako mga proverbs. And the proverb that I'd like to share here, it's from the Germans. Sabi nila, to act in anger is like tying up a ship in a storm. Siguro makita natin, pag tinali natin isang barko sa gitna ng bagyo, ay ganun din po ang mangyayari, parang paikot-ikot talagang mag-unbalance yan, no? And that is compared to a person acting in anger. Para din wala siyang balanse sa kanyang mga pinag-iisip, sa kanyang kaisipan at sa kanyang gawain, no? Parang paikot-ikot. So when you're in anger and you do something out of anger, then it's like you're a ship in a storm. Sinabi rin,
Di ba, ma'am? Di ba, pag tayo naghahanda sa bagyo, hindi ba tinatali natin yung ating mga bangka? At
parang hindi lumipad. O yung
Kahit
bubong.
mga puno at bubong.
Oo nga, hindi ba yun ang ginagawa natin?
Oo.
Ano kaya naisip ng mga German at naisip nila yung ganyan? Kasi siguro hindi masyadong malalakas yung bagyo nun
Ay,
dahil
oo.
umaano lang yung kanilang
Oo.
dagat. Pero sa
Oo.
Pilipinas,
Iniisip nila wag mo daw itali yung barko.
baka kung saan
bagyo.
mapadpad yung
Sa
barko nyo, ma'am.
kalagitnaan ng barko.
Baka,
Anong bagyo?
baka sa laot na yung, you know what I'm saying? Kasi minsan, okay, drop anchor, may gano'n
yes.
di ba?
Oo.
But yet, if the storm is huge swells, then definitely your barko will be all over the place.
Yes.
Pero kadalasan, pag tayo, siyempre tayo sa Pilipinas, pinapaligiran tayo ng karagatan.
Oo
So,
nga.
alam natin, pag ano yung bangka, pag hindi ko tinali yung bangka, baka
Dadalhin.
sa
Mawawala
Vietnam na
na.
yung bangka.
That's true.
Iba pala yung salita sa Pilipino kaysa dun sa mga
Oo.
German. No? Iba yung sitwasyon.
Alam nyo, pagdating kasi sa buhay ng isang tao, syempre, binabanggit nga yan, may mga traits tayo minsan na dahil sa frustration natin, nagagalit tayo dahil hindi nangyayari yung gusto natin, anyo eh. You know, yan ang kadalasan na nagiging struggle ng maraming tao. Ngayon, syempre, kaya nga nang ibanggit kanina, ang buhay ay, hindi ba minsan sinasabi, pa-weather-weather lang. Hindi ba? Pababago sa buhay ng Pilipino eh. Kasi masyado tayong marami. kasi ano
Depende
ma'am
sa
eh.
takbo ng panahon.
Yung panahon eh. Di ba?
Okay.
Pero hindi tayo pwedeng ganyan. Yun ang punto ron. Kasi
Oo.
dapat ang tao na may talino, kailangan yan, stable siya pagdating sa pagbabago ng ating mga kapaligiran sa buhay ng tao. Just so that and how do we get to this point? Ano ang lalim niya?
Ano yung anchor natin?
Oo,
Hindi ba?
what capacitates you?
Oo.
Di ba?
O meron ako, may sagot ako dyan. Ano mo nga, share mo. Meron akong na receive na post sa Viber group. And this has to do with, facing storms in our life, mga bagyo natin. Okay? I will read it. Okay. The strongest people are those who smile even when their tears are falling, who encourage others even when they themselves fail, who give happiness to others even when their own hearts are broken, who hold on firmly to God even when they are experiencing their worst trials in life. Nothing can shake those who are secure in God's
Okay.
hands.
Okay.
Okay? So yung pinaka-anchor, yan ang sinasabi
Yeah.
natin, may
Oo.
anchor.
May lalim dapat. Di ba?
O,
Mas
yung
stable.
will
Diba
hold you,
may
hindi
kasabihan
ba?
nga na dapat raw tayo, yung strength natin,
Mm-mm.
maging, o parang kandila na kahit daw malakas pa ang ihip ng hangin ay
Mm-mm.
nananatili pa rin
Steady yung...
steady yung apoy na
Oo.
nandoon sa kandila.
Oo.
Okay. May kasabihan na ganyan kung paano tayo maging like candle in a windless
Windless place.
Windless
Oo.
place.
Di ba? So, when ang isang tao, kaya, alam nyo, hindi ba, nabanggit natin to, parang lotus flower nga. Be like a lotus. No matter how mucky and dirty your pond is or the water may be, the lotus will still grow and bear beautiful, wonderful flowers. And fragrant flowers too.
So sinabi yung strongest people. Hindi ba? Kasi akala natin strongest people, yung physical, nag-gym lagi, may muscles and
Musculado,
everything.
yes.
Tapos, may position, siya ay general or something. But sinasabi dito, yung isang dyan nakita ko, yung isang sinabi, those who help others even when they are crying. Kasi, alam mo, minsan meron din tayong problema sa buhay. But in my own experience, kahit meron kang hinaharap na problema sa buhay, when you start thinking of others, when you start working to serve others, somehow or the other, nasa-set aside yung mga sarili mong mga heartaches. Kumbaga, you get over it because there is something more important than thinking about your problems. And as our teacher has said before, sabi niya, do not dwell on the problems. Dwell on the solution. So when you dwell on God, on spiritual wisdom, on something that is transcendental, then mawawala yung isipan mo dun sa mga problema. Kasi if you just keep worrying and worrying about your problems, then hindi ka na nga makakaangat sa
Kasi
ganitong
by
situation.
nature, if we're in service, this is kaya nga to care. Mahalin natin ang Diyos, buong puso, buhay natin. Tapos, the second commandment is simple. You care for one another as you care for oneself. So if we embrace this in our lives, this is the very anchor that we need.
Yeah, yes.
Just so that when we are faced, alam nyo, when the people today, we have so many issues. If you watch cable TV and TV right now, many of the talk show or even in the internet and social media, things that has to do with the struggles of individuals mentally.
Yeah.
Okay, the mental struggle. Diba?
Yes, bagyo ng pag-iisip.
Isip,
Diba?
yan. So, many times when we start to dwell on ourselves all the time and we don't have that foundation or that anchor that we know, kasi it's all part of your upbringing too and how you were raised and educated. May ganun yan how you are prepared. So now, when you are given the truths about who we are, what our function is, and then where we should be, can be very happy. Then, and how this world is a temporary place. Lahat ng bagay na yan, it's not madaling sabihin. Ngunit kung yan ay ating naging talagang buhay,
Oo.
yan ang nagiging guiding light natin. So, pagdating sa ganitong panahon na nagbabago-bago ang sitwasyon sa ating paligid, sa ating sariling buhay, o malaki yung ating responsibilidad para alagaan natin ang mga pamilya, ang komunidad natin. Na, alam nyo, pag nasanay ka na, kumbaga hindi tama yung minsan sabi na, uy, palaban yung taong yan. Alam nyo yung pananalita na gano'n. Yung parang kung may mga problema, imbis na nagtatago siya sa ilalim ng palda ng kanyang di ba?
Nanay.
Ganun ba yun, ma'am?
Palda ng nanay.
Baka maano ako niyan, ma'am. Ma-sensor. Di ba? Ako ma-sensor sa gano'n. Alam nyo, mangyayari naman yan. Kung ikaw ay tinuruan at binigyan ka ng tamang wastong pundasyon sa iyong buhay, di ba? Hindi ka basta nagtatago sa mga suliranin.
Oo.
So,
yes.
nagiging, ikaw isang tao, na kaya sinasabi nga doon sa quote kanina, hindi ba?
Mm.
Nagbibigay saya ka sa tao kahit na
Oo.
ang hirap ng mga problema
Oo,
na hinaharap.
yes. Oo.
Nandiyon ka pa rin, nagiging inspirasyon ka, ibig sabihin nun.
Yes. That is,
Okay.
you have that strength to continue doing.
Yes, because you
your
have strength from
service.
within eh.
Oo. Yeah.
And that is only when you feel that protection and love that's in your heart.
Meron nga sinabi yung mga Germans ulit. Sabi nila,
Ma'am, baka yung bangka na naman nila eh, nasa laot na yan.
eto sabi nila, God will help a seaman in a storm, but the pilot must still remain at the wheel. Okay, so God will help us, no? But we must still remain, driving whatever our
Yes.
life.
Huwag mong iwan yung ano mo.
Do not
Yeah,
abandon
kasi-
ship.
Do not
Yeah, right.
abandon
Kasi,
ship.
that's your tool eh.
Oo.
Yan ang gamit mo eh.
Mm-mm.
Just as itong katawan mo ay gamit natin ngayon.
Oo.
Okay? Kung saan ang direction ng buhay mo, itong katawan ang ibinigay sa'yo, yung katawan mo at isip mo,
Mm.
na may binigyan ka ng talino, tapos hindi ka lang nag-iisa. May guidance ka pa rin from within.
Yes.
Kaya nga ito sa ating mga buhay, ating mga tagapakinig, our friends, hindi ba may kasabihan eh, pag nabuhay ka sa mundo na to, kasi ang mundo na natin ay temporary world, hindi talaga tayo taga rito.
Oo.
Tsaka yung mundo na to, marami talagang bagyo at maraming mga uring suliranin na haharapin ka.
You know what?
Sa sarili mo, meron kang
Mm.
kamatayan, meron kang sakit,
Old age.
meron kang old age, meron kang birth. Alam mo, lahat yan. Meron kang pagbata ka na meron kang problema na sa katawan, hindi ba? The struggles is continuous. And it will continue until your last breath. But it doesn't mean that you are on your own
Mm.
faced with these
Oo.
issues. You are being informed. May nagsasabi sa atin, may mga ehemplo na dumadating dito sa atin, yung mga santo, si Jesu Cristo, napakarami sa iba-ibang lugar, iba-ibang bansa, in their historical experiences, makikita nyo, di ba? Dumadating dyan yung mga saintly persons to guide everybody out of the storm.
Yes.
But
Out
it's
of
your
the-
choice. Di ba?
But also, that the storm of this material world, lagi magkaka-storm dito because
Yes.
this is not our real home.
This is
So
the nature of this place.
Oo, talagang uncomfortable talaga ang
Oo.
material world.
Kaya
no?
nga sinasabi nga nila, anong mas madaling gawin? Lumapit ka sa Diyos o mabuhay ka sa mundo na to?
Mas masarap kaya lumapit sa Diyos, hindi
Hindi,
ba?
ano yung hirap nun? Kano kahirap? Oo. Ang mas mahirap? Hindi.
Mas mahirap
Mas
yung
mahirap
yung dito.
nandito ka lang.
Kasi yung Diyos kasama mo palagi.
Oo.
Di ba? Nandiyan siya palagi. Pero yung para ka mabuhay at maging masaya sa mundo na to, yung hirap na dadaanan mo,
Struggle din yun hindi
Oo,
ba?
para
to
mo
build, to
makamtan.
get your money, to get your
yes,
business,
economic
to get your,
development. Like
you
ito,
know?
sa atin ngayon, hindi ba? Ito yung parang, kumbaga we had such economic development mindset in the last 100 years that in other countries, they feel that sa kanila, this is for them. The goal, parang paradise. Everybody's, may mga ganun di ba?
Oo.
Yun ang, may tawag sa ganun utopia? Is that the right?
Utopia, yes.
Yeah.
The perfect place.
Right.
Diba?
May ideal place kasi
Oo.
gano'n ang tumanawang tao dito sa mundo na to I will find that perfect setting. But for me to achieve it, I have to pursue economic development sa sarili ko and country-wise gano'n. So biglang, oops! Nakalimutan, may pandemya pala.
Oo nga. Sira ang plano.
Malapit na sila dun sa goal sana, pero
Yes,
biglang nagka-problema.
nagbabago.
Diba?
Pero habang
Yes.
tinatahak natin yung goal na yon na ma-achieve natin yung utopia na yon, but suddenly there are many struggles that go with it to the point where you will never achieve that goal because the nature of the world we live in is not perfect.
Yes. Nature.
So,
Talaga ng
maganda
world.
talaga yan, Tito Toby, like yung sinasabi mo kanina, ang kasiyahan natin is with God, pero nandito tayo sa material world. Ang sigurado maraming iniisip rin ng ating mga kaibigan na kasama natin, mga nakikinig. Anong gagawin natin ngayon? Right now, nandito nga tayo sa mundo na maraming problema. Parang yung bagyo talaga mawawala, dadating, mawawala, dadating.
Kaya nga,
So how do we go
hindi
about
nawawala yung
it? Or
babalik.
hihina, lalakas, hihina, lalakas.
Alam nyo, no
Yeah.
matter how you may be the strongest fellow, you may be the most powerful fellow in this world, you may be the most influential person in this world, dumadaan lang yan sa panahon ng buhay ng
Yes.
isang tao. Lahat ng ganyan, may, kumbaga, may hangganan.
Mm-mm.
So, ito, we learn from this experience. Now, as human beings, we have the intelligence and the sensitivity. And even if those things may not be working, there are others who can help push you to the right direction, to the truth.
Yeah.
So we have to embrace the truth in our life.
Oo.
At the end of the day, we are individuals. We may be as a family or as a community, but yet we live our lives accordingly to the type of consciousness we put ourselves to.
Oo.
On the end of the day, it's the consciousness that we need to be doing. We have to be uplifting in our way of life.
Yes.
Kumbaga, what do we embrace? By nature, we are not material. We are spirit.
So, ito yung pinakasimpleng wisdom. No?
Yes.
Na
Very simple.
simple, but we really have to cultivate it.
Yes.
Para,
We have to actually, kumbaga, we don't need to transform ourselves. Kasi by nature, we're spirit.
Oo.
Yes.
Nature na natin yun.
Nature yun eh.
Oo. So we have
It's-
to live according to our
Yeah.
nature.
Yes.
Do not
And-
go against that natural
Yes.
being that we are.
It's like living in this world, for example, as human beings, and di ba, ang daming mga uring hayop, di ba? Trees, birds, lahat yan. Many of this, in the lower species of life, they conform to the laws of nature.
Mm-mm. Yes.
Instinctively, they were gifted that way.
Oo.
That's how they live their lives. But human beings are not just like that.
Pero sayang, di ba? If we don't conform
Yes, kasi
dun
hindi,
sa dapat na
we
gagawin natin.
have a choice that is higher
Oo.
and not just get stuck with what the animals are doing.
Oo. Yes.
Because that sets us aside from the animals. The animals are lower species of life. They don't have the type of intelligence and yung memory and the sensitivity. And you know where it is? To love and be loved.
Yan.
Di ba?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nature din natin yun, di
Oh.
ba?
Yeah. And kung yun ang nagiging very foundation ng ating buhay, then nakukuha yan, nakakamtan yan sa pagdadasal, sa meditation. Connect to that which is enduring, which is spiritual, in connection to your real being. Now, if you try to find happiness based on thinking that I am this body, I am the mind, then you will be frustrated. You won't be able to weather the storm.
Oo nga.
And this is what will make the person strong.
Yes, this is where your strength is
This is
coming
where
from.
the
Kasi
strength is
nandiyan yung
coming
wisdom
from.
nun eh. Knowledge kasi yun eh. You cannot change the truth.
Yes.
Yan ang katotohanan. Kahit anong sabihin ninyo na, ano ba yung pinagsasalita na, ako ang katawan na, hindi ba? Pangalan ko ganito. Lahat, simula ng buhay ko, yan ang tinuturo sa akin. Oh, you know what? On the end of the day, you have to face the falseness of your decision.
Oo.
And as a result of that. But if you live the truth, then the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
Diba? May kasabihan na
oo.
ganyan.
Mga
At saka,
popular
kumbaga,
verse
yan, set you free from the storm.
Yeah.
Kumbaga, kasi
You won't be disturbed by the storm.
ang storm, yung illusion natin, yung
Right.
mga ating mga lies, yung mga ating mga dreams na hindi naman nightmares na
Yeah,
lahat
plus
bumabalot
living in
sa
the
atin.
world we live in, this is not our home. And the world that we live in is really designed to have a lot of storms.
Kaya nga every year may rainy season and
Oo.
summer, hindi po
Nagbabago-bago
nagbabago yun.
ang panahon.
Oo.
Okay, naglalamig. Kahit ako, ang dami ng pagbago-bago. Yan alam nyo, hindi ba mahilig tayo minsan eh. Oh, I'm Bear Grylls. Di ba? Ang aking I will conquer nature. Di ba? May
Oo
mga
nga,
ganun.
yes,
Di ba? May mga ganyan.
ganyang idea.
And there's this guy, so okay, I alive and alone in the middle of the wilderness, di ba? They will try to conquer their difficulties and losses. Di ba may mga ganyan na kwento? But yet, on the end of the day, hindi nyo nakikita what's happening behind the scene.
Oo. Kahit nga
Anyway,
ibang
batiin
tao.
natin muna
Ayan.
si
Si
Yogi Padilla.
ang
Good
dami,
morning. Henry
Henry.
Yumol. Ay,
Mm.
kamusta Henry?
Oh,
And Bajanda.
Harry, sorry.
Harris,
Yeah.
sila yung mga taga
Ilocos
Lawag,
Norte.
no?
Then
Oo,
Angel Gonzalo.
right.
Bajandasi. Oo.
May, then si Katrina Resurrection. Ligaya Dizon. Good morning.
Oo.
Ganyan.
Meron din kanina si Lizelle Alipo, I think
Yes.
is her name. Yeah.
Yes, Lisa.
Oo.
Okay, good morning again to everybody. Thank you for listening in, and I hope if you guys send up some suggestion on what we're talking about, give us your pointers.
Oo.
Share
Baka meron din
information.
kayong bagyong dinaanan.
Oo.
Anong
Yung mga
lessons?
taga-Visayas,
Lessons learned.
sila yung tinamaan lately.
Yes. At saka
Yung
laging
dante.
dinadaanan yung mga kaibigan natin sa Bicol.
Our
No?
friends
Oo.
sa Luntian, Karihan. Yan, from Pampanga. Good day too.
And then sinabi rin na ito naman may proverb from the Greeks. Sabi nila, you can tell who the good seamen are during a storm. Kumbaga sa difficult times, lalabas yung character ng mga taong may wisdom, yung taong merong
Yan ang sinasabi kanina.
faith in God.
Yung pananalita na malasakit ang isang tao.
Yun, yung meron pagmamalasakit, sila yung mga good seamen. Kasi pag merong bagyo, kagaya ng pandemya, makita mo rin yung mga
Alam mo ba,
taong tumulong.
minsan may isang
di ba?
description dyan eh. Alam niyo, ano ba yung malasakit pag sinabi? Di ba may mga tao na pag sila yung nagtatrabaho, parang ayaw nila na, kumbaga hindi sila tumitingin sa oras.
Oo.
Di ba?
Meron din nakabantay sa rin.
Di ba? Ibig sabihin nun, what it means is, if you're so focused in doing a good job on whatever endeavor you're doing, because you're inspired from within, time doesn't affect your work. This is kumbaga, this is the gift of a human being. That when you are inspired from within, the work that you do, you connect it to your service.
Oo.
So you don't feel time. Parang nagkukulang pa ako.
Oo.
Kasi you're so
Oo.
inspired from within.
Oo.
May mga tao na nakikita natin who has these qualities,
Oo.
and you see that they're not dictated by how much they are paid, the number of hours that they're completing.
Log in, log out.
They're,
Kailangan,
they're-
ano.
whatever responsibility they're given, whatever task they do, they will do the best of work.
And even beyond what is
Yes.
required of them.
Right.
Di ba?
So, hindi
Yan,
sila
yan.
accountants.
Accountant of time.
Accountants of time.
Oo.
Marami na akong ginawa.
Ah,
Tama na muna yan.
alam mo minsan,
Hanggang dyan
pag,
lang yan.
Hanggang
pag
dyan
itong
lang
qualities na ganito nagkukulang sa tao, ito ay kaya pag nagkaroon ng bagyo sa buhay natin, ito ang mga qualities na to ang magdadala sa'yo na you will overcome the issues. Or such issues that come your way, kayang-kaya yan.
Oo. Yes. Pag dinaanan mo na yung mga mahihirap, alam mo na, ito, dinaanan ko na yung
Kaya nga
may
minsan mahirap
lessons
yung,
na yan.
kunyari may mga generation tayo na mga tao na ngayon, sana lessons learned on the pandemic. Kasi may hirap ito eh. How do you help your family? How do you help your community weather this storm? But you will find that the storm is still there and it's getting stronger. The tendency that we have is because we become so short-sighted and because we don't have that, kumbaga, kung saan tayo nakatayo, yung ating pundasyon sa buhay, yung grounding natin, nagkukulang. So kapag humarap ka ng ganito as a whole, kasi minsan pag individual lang, sige, everybody comes to help this individual. But when it's everybody facing the same storm,
Yes.
it's a different story. How each person respond and
Kanya-kanya.
react.
Yes.
And then you will find yung mga tao, yung may qualities nga yung, hindi siya palaban na dahil galit siya. Kung hindi, meron siyang paraan palagi, meron siyang malasakit, meron siyang pasyensya, nag-iisip siya ng husto, ginagamit niya yung talino niya, at saka yung kanyang puso sa desisyon ng kanyang ginagawa. Dahil kapag ang buhay ng isang tao ay guided from within, lahat ng bagay na pumapasok sa isip ng isang tao, hindi ka nag-iisa eh. Kasi kumbaga binigyan ka naman ng talino. At meron kang guidance from within. You know?
Yan. Actually, maraming matetest nga ng mga challenges eh. And it actually is sometimes our learning curve. Hindi ba? Yung paano tayo rin natututo. Kasi minsan di tayo natututo na pagsabihan lang tayo. Yung iba kailangan matuto. Daanan natin yung
Hirap.
lesson, yung hirap, para lang mag-sink in yung mga dapat nating maintindihan.
At saka syempre, we always have to be realistic in what we do in life. Simplicity prepares a person to many things. You know that?
No.
May simplicity yan eh.
Yes.
But when
And
we...
austerity also.
Austerity,
Ayun.
sacrifices,
Sacrifice,
simplicity, nandyan lahat yung qualities na yan. Huwag tayo yung parang, alam niyo minsan eh, it's okay to be seeking comfort. But if you just seek comfort in a temporary setting, it's just something that kind of goes on into your system. There's no real comfort there because that is temporary. But if the comfort you seek is something that is long lasting, it's eternal, not subject by time, right?
Yes.
It's transcendent of this world. The actions you perform is transcendental. So that means such changes in a temporary condition will not touch you.
Oo.
You are protected from it.
Yes.
So it is when we live our lives centered around prayers and praising and thankfulness and gratitude, yung sa ating poong may kapal, that will make it so that, you see, on the end of the day, seeking this protection, kumbaga the umbrella of protection, and then not feeling that I can do it, you know, it's, you put yourself in a humble state, you know, and you understand that on the end of the day, my life is guided by my most dear friend, who's always my constant companion.
Yeah.
And everything that takes place in my life is, he is in control. And I take that shelter.
Yes. Yes,
Here, when one's faith is anchored with God, he cannot easily be swept away by the storm. Ito sabi ni
Yes.
Lutian.
Meron naman sinabi rin ng English proverb, vows made in storms are forgotten during the calm weather. Okay? So, minsan yung mga tao, pag sa paghihirap, ay sinabi lang, Diyos ko, sana hindi ako mamatay sa COVID. I-save mo lang ako, magpapakabait na ako, hindi na ako maglalasing, hindi na ako manunugal or whatever, you know. Maraming promises pag nahirapan ng tao, pero pag lumipas
Gumaling
na
na.
yung storm, ayun, balik sa
Yes.
dati. So I think that what we're asking for are major changes that will last, you know, for a long time, not just for the moment making a promise, but actually acting on our words and acting on our promises to have a better life, to have continuous, purposeful, meaningful life, you know, even without the storm. You know?
Alam mo, Tito, ay Tita, Socorro, yung kanina yung sinasabi ni Tito Toby, yung how God is in control.
Yes.
Actually, yun ang isa rin sa magandang mag-sink in sa atin na isa sa mga yung position natin, natural position natin, hindi rin tayo ang dominator.
Yes,
That
we're not in control.
We are not really in control. Bagamat we have a supreme controller who is God. Pero in our own ways, meron din tayong responsibilidad. So which means, yung kaya nating gawin on our own, sana ay gawa na natin ng paraan. Kasi yung iba naman sabi nila, ay bahala na lahat ang Diyos sa akin. Hindi naman po gano'n, no? Kahit
Di ba may
sa-
kasabihan nga eh, nasa Diyos ang awa, nasa tao ang
ang
gawa.
Oo, yes.
So we need to act upon because on the end
Yes.
of the day, it's still the choices we have to make.
Yes.
And if we are guided, there's so many ways of guidance, right? One, if you're guided by a person who is full of wisdom, who is a transcendentalist, then malaking bagay yun. So makikita mo yung clarity ng inyong buhay. Tapos, syempre, you have guidance from within also.
Yes.
Tapos marami rin tayong transcendental books.
Yes.
Booklet, you know, yung mga Biblia, yung mga scriptures. This guides us eh. Lahat yan, historical yan eh. Di ba? It was spoken in the time when people were also faced with many storms.
Oo, mahirap din yung buhay
oo,
nila.
grabe.
Yung mga
That's
stories
so
nila,
true.
no?
Look at the history of
Oo.
the scriptures.
Oo.
Makikita mo lahat, puro stormy weather na
Oo,
in-experience
sa-
itong
Sa Old Testament,
right?
maraming
Puro storm
storya
sila,
yan.
di ba?
Yes,
You see it.
oo.
So then you will see, then different saintly persons, devotees of God will come. Jesus Christ came and showing everybody. He even went to a turbulent life in this world. Di ba?
Yes, oo.
Nobody, but because of his sacrifice, many of us know that God exists and God we can love in our hearts.
Yes.
Yes.
Diba? So sa ating mga tagapakinig, maraming salamat. Okay, before we all go,
Miguel Vargas.
Miguel
submit
Vargas,
a
happy
message.
World Environment Day po. Okay, United Nations Environment Program yan. Okay, yes.
Thank you for the
Thank you. And
greeting.
then I hope that everybody, alam nyo, ang environment natin talagang malaki ang ating hinaharap. Okay? But anyway, sa susunod na yan, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat and have a nice weekend. Stay with your family. Always pray together, okay?
Yes.
And be safe.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, go Palakas!